Hey all, Ron here from Military Images Magazine with a new episode of Life on the Civil War Research Trail. The soldier pictured here, Ulysses S. Grant, is so well known. His iconic images resonate through the 160 years since the Civil War. And his face is so recognizable to us today. And in fact, so it was during the Civil War years itself. The Union officers and enlisted men in the Eastern Army of the Potomac had seen plenty of photographs and engravings of photographs of the general, the Western general, but they had never seen him in person. Few, I should say, few had seen him. His West Point comrades and perhaps some of the generals who had been temporarily stationed or on assignment in the West. So in March of 1864, when Grant comes to Washington, D.C. to receive an appointment, a commission, as Lieutenant General of the U.S. Armies from President Abraham Lincoln, the Commander in Chief, Grant makes the decision to attach himself to the Army of the Potomac. The Army of the Potomac has its own way of doing its business, its own culture, and Grant coming in, even though he technically wasn't in command, General George Gordon Meade retained command of the Army of the Potomac. Grant attached himself to the Army and, for the most part, was pretty much a major part of the decision making along the front lines in 1864 in the Overland Campaign and the Appomattox Campaign in 65. So I want to share with you a recollection of Charles Wainwright. I've done a couple of videos of him recently. He is the Chief of Artillery of the 5th Corps of the Army of the Potomac. And in March of 1864, Wainwright is not only getting a new man in charge with Grant, but he's also getting his first glimpse at his new corps commander, Gouverneur K. Warren. And Warren, to you students of the Civil War, and in particular, students of the Battle of Gettysburg, Warren is the towering bronze statue on top of Little Round Top for the work he did on the second day of the battle in noticing the Confederate army moving in the direction of Little Round Top and quickly getting troops to defend the position. So back to Wainwright in 1864, his recollections of seeing Grant for the first time. And then I want to share with you the first review that Grant did of Wainwright's artillerymen and others attached to Warren's Corps. So let me start with Wainwright's first glimpse of Grant. He says, and this is March 30th, 1864. He says, when in Culpeper, it's Culpeper, Virginia, when in Culpeper yesterday, I got sight of the new lieutenant general as he was poking around the house he has since moved into. He is not so hard-looking a man as his photographs make him out to be, but stumpy, unmilitary, slouchy, and Western-looking. Very ordinary, in fact. It rained on Friday heavily, a good part of the day. Since then, it has been clear and drying. I love that. Here is the new Lieutenant General of the Army, the new overall commander. Wainwright makes his observations, unmilitary, slouchy, Western-looking, ordinary, and then just goes straight on to talk about the weather. Almost like it's just a minor glitch or a minor little thing that happened in his day. So there's that. Now I want to share with you the review, which he mentions on March 31st, the day after he saw Grant. And here's what he has to say. On Tuesday, the Corps, that is the old First, no other part of the present Corps being about here, was turned out for review by General Grant. The ground about a mile south of the village along the railroad was quite good. Warren, It's Gouverneur Warren. Warren knew enough to put artillery on the right of the line where it belonged. I had the 6 batteries here out, all looking quite well. When we arrived, Warren was already on the ground to assign each command its position. He promises to be a very different man from Newton in this respect, Newton being the former commander, his former commander. General Warren is a small man, about 35 years old, dark complexion with black eyes and long, straight black hair. He has a little of the look of an Indian and evidently is of nervous temperament. Just as General Grant came on the ground, it commenced to rain. He rode along the line in a slouchy, unobservant way, with his coat unbuttoned and setting anything but an example of military bearing to the troops. There was no enthusiasm, and as the rain increased, we were quickly dismissed without passing in review. So there you have Wainwright, Charles Wainwright's recollection of that first review by General Grant of the Fifth Corps. And as you know, the view of Grant, at least the view of Grant on this rainy day, where there was no enthusiasm and the rain was coming down harder and harder, everyone left without a whole lot of show. Grant never did seem to be comfortable in a large review, always reticent to perform in that way. But of course, the men did come to appreciate and treat him as a beloved commander, especially as they crossed over closer into Richmond and Petersburg territory. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode of Life on the Civil War Research Trail.